So next up, I'd like to introduce Bruce Blejo, Fellow and Chief Technologist for the Commercial Solutions business at Hewlett-Packard. Bruce. Hey, who's got the clicker? You got it?
Good to go. I got it. Good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'd like to thank Autodesk for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight and speak to you. In the last few years, we've witnessed a real revolution in the way that we interact with our mobile devices. They're completely changed. And yet on our desktop devices in particular, thinking tonight about folks, designers and whatnot, the interfaces that we use with our computer are pretty much the same as they were for the last several years. So tonight I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about what do we think comes after the keyboard and mouse, and what is a more productive way for humans to interface with their machines and with their designs. So what I talk about is human-computer interface for visual data. So there's really three components to this that I'll outline tonight. The first, if you were back here at Autodesk University in 2007, you might have seen Brian Matthews demonstrating a prototype Autodesk application on a touch wall from a company called Perceptive Pixel. What was different about that from other touch devices that you might have seen, say in the consumer market, was one, it allowed for multiple touches, basically an unlimited number of touches, versus most of today's devices, there may be a single touch. The second thing that was dramatically different was it was very responsive, because when you're trying to do creative work, you can't be slowed down. There can't be any lag. Everything has to happen very quickly, so you can stay in the moment and stay thinking about what you're working on rather than being annoyed with the lag in the system. And the third thing that's different about it is it needs to be highly precise. So that's sort of the first element that we see in a design or a professional touch system. The second thing that's important is precision pen. And this is critical because touch is wonderful. Touch is great for manipulating data if you want to sort through maps or photos or what have you. But when it comes time to actually create data, your finger is a very blunt instrument. So you need something that is much more precise. We're not just trying to draw pictures, we're trying to actually create data. So having a pen that has even more precision than the touch sensor, you need to have sub-pixel precision now, because again, I'm not trying to draw a picture, I'm trying to create an object. Again, needs to be highly responsive. It needs to have a number of attributes akin to using pencil and paper. So it needs to have pressure sensitivity. I need to be able to sense when I'm getting close to the system, et cetera. And it also drives some other more indirect design factors. For instance, now the system needs to look more like a drafting table than a monitor. I need to be able to lay it down. I need to be able to lay my arm on it. I want to have a flush glass design now, so I'm not bumping my arm into a bezel or whatnot. And it needs to have very low parallax, by which I mean the model, again, that you're used to is you're used to drawing on paper. So when you bring a pen down and touch the glass, it needs to feel like you're touching the picture. You can't have a big gap, for instance, between the top of the surface and the object. And then the last thing, and this is where the magic really happens, and this is what has eluded us so far, is combining those, touch and pen, to do what we call two-handed operation. And I love the picture that we've got here. This is from our friends and good partners at DreamWorks. I asked them for some pictures of folks that use pen-based systems today, and they sent us several, and a lot of them looked like this one, and this wasn't intended to be awkward looking, but boy, that looks like not a very ergonomic way to work. And what he's doing is he's got the pen in his right hand, his left hand is over on the keyboard, and he's hitting hotkeys, so he can change modes in the program or maybe move the object around. And then over to his right, he's got another display where he's got maybe the menus from his application. So this doesn't look like a very productive way to work. So we think there's a lot better way to do this. And when you combine touch and pen, we think something magical happens. It's sort of a 2 + 2 = 10 kind of thing. So to demonstrate this, I've got a video from our friends at Perceptive Pixel, and this is actually Jeff Hahn demonstrating a system. We've been partners with these folks for many, many years. I think this sort of brings it home, where you can see in this case, the pen in the right hand is for doing the precision work. This is a simple PDF markup application, but the same principles could apply to any sort of visual application. And then rather than using a mouse and a keyboard to try to manipulate the object, you use your other hand, in this case, Jeff's left hand, to very intuitively work with, in this case, the drawing surface, the page. It could also be a 3D model, as as I mentioned, Brian Matthews demonstrated a few years ago, to do both the precision work as well as intuitive. And if you get a chance to come by the HP booth, we're actually showing this on the floor, and I encourage you to come in and give it a try, because it's a lot more complicated than it looks. In this system, the pen is distinguished from the touches. Also, whenever you use a pen, you're dragging your hand across the screen. You've got to be able to figure out that that's something that should be ignored, right? That's not a touch. So there's really a lot going on here. And if you sit down and use this, as I would encourage you to try it out, it really is a very natural system, a very natural way of working. And the goal of this, again, is to allow you to be in the moment, thinking about your content, thinking about what you're working on, and not thinking about the fact that, oh, damn, I've got to go, click this or pull up that menu or use this UI element. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay.
So can you tell us, how do you see some of this stuff applying to Autodesk applications?
So we think this is really the next generation human-computer interface for any kind of visual application, especially where you are creating content, if you're manipulating visual content, or if you're doing fine selections as well. Almost any of the Autodesk applications, a few that come to mind, Mudbox, Maya, Revit, Inventor, Showcase, any of those would be, I think, really great to use this technology.
Perfect. Okay. Tell us about a little bit about the enabling technologies behind the two-handed UIs.
Good question. So we've been trying to do this for many, many years, and I think we're almost to the point where it's capable. A couple of key enablers. One is, I mentioned the mobile devices. The touch technology used in those is a technology called projected capacitive touch. Most touch systems today are optical and don't perform that well. The projected capacitive technology has always performed well, but it's been very expensive when you scale it up to desktop sizes. So that's one of the key enablers, is that's starting to come down in price and improve in reliability. So that makes it viable. The second breakthrough has been the emergence of the pen technology and the software to bring these together, and that's where folks like Perceptive Pixel come in, that have been able to create the software stack that allows you, as like I said, there's a lot of, it looks simple like a lot of things. It takes a lot of complex technology to make something look that simple.
Great. What else is going on in HP workstations? What other new innovations should we know about?
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to mention with HP workstations, we were very excited this last year or so to introduce our Z200 line, and PC Magazine very recently named the Z200 small form factor the workstation of the year, which is really gratifying to us, because the whole point of the Z200 line is to try to bring the entry level down, so folks that are using PCs today have the opportunity to move to a workstation without spending thousands of dollars. So it has an entry price below $1,000, but you still have professional graphics, certified applications, all of the 3-year warranty, all the performance and reliability you expect from a workstation. So it's gratifying to see a mainstream publication like PC Magazine acknowledge that.
That's really great.
Okay.
What about work on the go? What are you doing to address the professionals' needs there?
Okay. So work on the go, you may have heard HP makes printers too, right? In addition to workstations. So HP and Autodesk have partnered in the last year or so to enable AutoCAD users to directly print from AutoCAD WS, the web services version of AutoCAD. You can now print directly from that application with your mobile device to any of HP's DesignJet e-printers, if you've seen that. So that means any printer that it's basically on the network. So it can be a printer in the next room. It could be a printer 1,000 miles away. It could be a printer that you didn't know about until it could be at the hotel here.
Yeah. Anything
so
else
exciting.
you're doing to help the architect's workflow?
Yeah. So in addition to that, we also have standalone mobile applications that allow e-printing, and then we've also worked on something called e-print and share that allows you to, we're trying to simplify the printing process on your desktop. So with the HP print and share system, you can basically drag and drop PDFs or any other print-ready file into the system, do a true preview, see a true print preview of what it's going to look like when it prints on the large format printer, because you don't want to commit that if it's wrong. And then it'll print, and then you can also automatically basically save that to an online account, save that print to the cloud, if you will, so you have an exact archive copy of what was printed. So if you give that print then to your customer or to a government agency or regulatory agency, you can then save away a copy of that, exactly what you printed, exactly what you gave them. So you're covered.
That's really great. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you.